uh, the centerpieces of his teachings and everything that he talks about in all of his trainings and recordings, even within his story. In the last couple of weeks, we've been teaching about learning how to tell your story. So let's go a little bit back before telling your story is learning what your story is. Why are you here? What are you doing? What is your mindset? As we grow in life, our mindset grows as well. Have you ever spoken to somebody that you might have been to high school with and you haven't spoken to them in 10 years? And you listen to them and they talk and speak exactly the same way they did back in high school. Yet you're adults now and you really can't relate with them anymore because you're on another level. Your mindset has changed. You're not that same person anymore. And that's a good thing. You know, as you grow, you're going to end up losing some friends and gaining some new friends because of your growth. And change is not bad. It's just a change. It's just something good. It's improvement. But you've got to know where to go in the future. And attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Actually, attitude is a little thing that makes all the difference in the world. It makes everything. So I'll give you an example. You can have two people go through the same exact, one person looks at it as a learning experience, another person looks at it as a curse. They went through the same exact thing, they just handled it differently. They looked at it differently. Is the glass half full or half empty? How do you look at things in your life? I used to be a pessimist when I was younger. Everything always seemed to go bad. Everything, I expected it to go bad. And what I didn't realize is the more I expected things to go bad, the more bad things always happened to me. Yet people around me that went through the same situation, if something happened to them, something good happened to them next. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, why does that person always get the good luck and I don't? It's not that they got good luck. It's that because they had the right attitude, their mind was open to be able to see better opportunities. Here's a good example. You have a man who works a job. He's sick and tired of his job. He hates his job. He hates his coworkers. He goes home and prays for a better job, a better opportunity. What we don't realize is that our prayers always get answered. We just don't know how, or they don't come in the form we expect. We have to have the eyes that can see them. We have to be able to recognize them. He goes to work and they give him a layoff notice. Now, two things can happen here. One way he looked at it as this: I cannot believe that after I busted my ass to get to where I am, and I'm not being treated right on my job, and I pray to the Lord for something better. What is my reward? I'm in a worse situation. Prayer doesn't work. Screw the world. And he goes into depression. Then you have a second type of way you can look at this is, thank you for me losing this job because now I can be open and have the time to look for a better one. And a better job may come your way, a better opportunity that you would not have seen, nor would you have had come into your life if you didn't get laid off in the first place. There's a lesson to be learned in everything you do. But you've got to have see. Here's another way of putting this, making sure you're in the right mindset. Have you ever bought a new car? Or ladies, you bought new shoes, new heels, new dress, new skirt, whatever. Next thing you know, it seems every woman around you's got the same thing you have. And you think, figures, I buy something new, they all got the same thing. No, it was always there. You just didn't notice it. Now that you bought something like that, you now have eyes that can see. See, when you have the right mindset, then opportunities that come your way that the average broke person doesn't see, you see. And you're able to take advantage of it. But it is all about your attitude. Everybody has hours in a day, and I like that. Reticular activating system. Haven't heard that phrase in a long time. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you have something or you don't. We all go through life and we all have challenges. My wife is hyped on right now the whole Lemonade Beyonce series that played on HBO. That woman has $400 million in her bank account and she's singing a sad story. She has problems just like everybody else. Money doesn't solve your problems. It's much easier to handle your problems when you're sitting on a beach than in an apartment where you don't know how you're going to pay your rent. That's for sure. But money doesn't solve your problems. But you've got to have the right mindset regardless. If you notice, a lot of people with a whole lot of money have far more problems than you and I do. And someone asked me, why is that? Why is that the case? They don't understand. Like, if I could just have, just give me 1% of what they've got in my life, I'll be straight. Here's why. Most of you that work a 9 to 5 job and you have bills and you have issues in your life, that's where all your focus is on. Survival. But when you take away those issues and you've got the same amount of time in the day and you don't have to work like you did before, you have far more time to focus on you and what's wrong with you, Cummings, and it gets depressing. Sometimes you still feel a void. People that win the lottery, 70% of them go broke within 10 years. Depression, suicidal thoughts. They never learned the skills necessary to make that money in the first place, and they definitely didn't have the skills necessary to keep it, nor did they focus on the things in their life to balance them out, to be able to handle it. And those of us that spend most of our time trying to survive never have to really deal with the core issue of who we are as a human being. What are we here for? What did the Lord put us on this earth to do? What impact are we going to leave besides paying bills and go to a job? Have you ever thought of that yourself? And I'm going way off track tonight. Let me get uh, back on focus. This always happens when I don't do this in a while. So attitude is everything, but next week we're going to focus more on that on part 2 of this training. So let's stick with the topic of tonight. Becoming a professional network marketer. See, when we grow up, you have to be trained to do it. We go to school. You want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a veterinarian, you want to be a politician, whatever it is that you want to do, you got to get trained. And we spend all our life in school getting trained. The sad state of things is that school and college does not train you on how to become an entrepreneur. You have to get that PhD on your own. And there's no fanfare to get it. For it is your bank account once you get it. So this is not taught in school. But if you choose to be in network marketing and you want to have long-term success, you have to be a professional. You have to treat it with just as much respect as would any other industry. But let's talk about why. Why the need to be a professional network marketer? Let's talk about where we came from. You see, the world as you know it has changed. For the people who don't recognize that fact, it will be the worst of times. For those who do, it will be the best of times. See, over the last 100 years, an interesting phenomenon occurred. The rise of corporation became the standard in society. The safe and respected place for people to exist in the workplace was as an employee. Step number 1, go to school, learn how to be an employee. Number 2, find a company that will employ you. Step number 3, work for that company for 40 years. Step number 4, retire. There's only one generation that has been successful at this for the majority. It's not my generation. It's not my parents' generation. It's the World War II generation, the so-called or not so-called, rightfully deserved greatest generation of the American our history. The World War II generation. It's only worked for that generation, yet this has been taught for the last 80 years. It worked for my father. My father has had the same job since he was 18 years old, and he just retired after 43 years with the same company. He started off there washing cars and driving company execs around LA from the airport to different hotels because they had a hiring policy against minorities. And as times changed, he went from his own internship to a full-time employee and ended up becoming CEO of the company. That's a Cinderella story. I'm proud of my father for his achievements, but that is not typical. This is why me and him butted heads with my choice of career. He can't understand how I can retire at the age of 36. He doesn't. He understands now, but he didn't understand then. But I told him your way, Dad, is not working for the masses, especially with my generation. My generation is one of the generations in American history. We're the first generation that has it worse than our previous generation. We're a generation that not only take care of ourselves, but we're also going to be stuck with having to take care of our parents. As 90% of all the baby boomers are going to retire broke. All family, government, and friends by the age of 65. So we're taking care of ourselves, we're taking care of our parents. Oh, and we're going to have to take care of our children because our children are even worse off than we are. And they're entering college and the workforce age right now. And kids aren't leaving home until they're 28 to 30 years old. So we're taking care of them. And some of them are having kids if they're in their 30s. And let's not mention that since we're the bulk of the workforce, the government's taking so many taxes out of us to support everybody else. No wonder it is why my generation is having it a hard time to get ahead. It's no fault of your own. So don't think that you are a failure or that you didn't do something right. Of course, there are certain decisions that we can make, but the system is stacked against you, and I'm going to tell you why. In recent decades, the promise of being rewarded by the company for your loyalty and hard work has been exposed as a myth. People began to realize that the loyalty they were giving to their company was not being given in return. Step one, go to school, learn how to be an employee. Okay, that's the same. Company that will employ you. Okay, that's the same. Here's where I started to switch up. Three, switch companies for various political and economic reasons every 3 to 5 years over the course of your career. Doesn't that sound like more likely? How many people are with the same job more than 5 years? Step four, find that you can't retire comfortably after 40 years, so you keep working. Did you know the federal government is trying to work to increase the retirement age from 65 to 72? And you know what their reason? Their reasoning is that they are looking out for us because we're living longer. And they state that most people, when they retire, they die within 2 years of retirement. So instead of us dying, they say if we keep working, we're going to live longer. How benevolent of the government. No, they need you to keep working to keep paying into the system because they can't afford you once you retire. Who wants to keep working into this? That's the reality today. You see, the best way not only to survive but to thrive in the new economy is network marketing. More and more companies will choose to use network marketing because it fits the new economy. It's extremely efficient because in the new economy, word of mouth advertising continues to work better than any other form of promotion. What that means to you is that you can receive all of the benefits of traditional business ownership without the typical risks. And there will be no cap on your income because network marketing companies want you to make as much as possible because the more money you make, the more money they make. The new economy is going to pay you for your performance, not your time. Are you ready? See, one of the big things, especially in this political debate right now, is raising the minimum wage in California to $15 an hour, and everybody jumped for joy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against people making more money, especially from the lowest end of the spectrum. However, there comes a cost of you doing so. As McDonald's doing right now, okay, you want us to raise minimum wage? We'll just fire our employees and hire robots, hire computer screens to take the order for you. A friend of mine was at a restaurant in San Bernardino, and he had never saw this before. I don't know if it was a Chili's or what, but he went into the restaurant, and on the table was like a tablet, and he was able to just punch in whatever he wanted to order. And when the waitress came over, this is kind of cool. She said, "Oh, it makes my job so much easier." And he looked at her and said, "No, no, this is going to replace you." And he said the look on her face when she kind of realized that automation. Everybody is clamoring for bring jobs back to America. Those jobs no longer exist. The factory worker jobs are gone. Robots are doing your job now. It's a new economy. There's a new business model for the 21st century. Your worth is based on your performance. No more clocking in on work, taking a nap, and surfing the internet all day and think you're going to get paid for it. The good thing about performance means that there's no limit to how much money you can earn as well. You get paid. Are you ready for this? So if you treat your business like a hobby, and that's what a lot of people do in network marketing. I'll stick my toe in the water and see if I make some money. I'll pay the money to get started and see if I get spillover. See if somebody will do it for me. If I have money in 60 days, I'm going to quit. Call it a scam. It's just a hobby. And if you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get paid like a hobby. You must be willing to accept the temporary loss of social esteem from ignorant people. What is this? So what if somebody laughs at you because you got involved in a network marketing company? Or you got involved in one of them pyramid things? You know what I say? Yeah, just like you and your job, because you'll never become CEO. How you like that? Well, what? No, you got a CEO, you got upper management, you got middle management, you got all the slaves, you. And the harder you work, the better car your boss is going to be able to afford. I don't like that pyramid. Who cares what other people think? I did a video on what I feel is the most important article ever done on the disappearing middle class, and it's called The Secret Shame of the Middle Class. And it's too long for me. I think it's one of the longest videos I made reading it because I actually read it. 38 minutes long, but what I will do is post the link, and you can go back and listen to it on your own time. But one thing that was funny is that as people keep up with the Joneses, and as on the surface their appearance seems to be wealthy, behind the scenes they are struggling, and struggling very badly. You never know what's going on in somebody's household. What you think is going on, we guarantee is not. They're in the same boat, if not worse than you. And if they look better than you, that means they have worse credit than you because their credit cards are maxed out with the Joneses. Doesn't matter what broke cousin Pookie says on the corner. He's not paying your bills. So don't worry about loss of social esteem. See, most people have either joined a network marketing company or know someone who has. They approach it as if they are playing the lottery and hoping to get lucky and sign up that one superstar that will make them rich. When it doesn't happen, they quit. They treated this as a hobby. You know how many times I get a phone call every day. I am not joking. Not a day goes by that somebody does not call me or shoot me a message on social media saying, Brandon, if I just had you on my team, we would get rich. Notice that saying, if I had you on my team, we would get rich. What they fail to understand is I will get rich in any skills. And you want to piggyback off the skills I learned so that you can get rich. I'm unrecruitable. I don't say that with an ego. It's a fact. Once you learn skills, it doesn't matter what company you're in, it doesn't matter what product you're in, you will have success in anything that you do. But most people want to sign up somebody like me instead of becoming somebody like me. This is it comes in. You got to change and flip your mindset. This is not the lottery. See, a professional learns skills necessary to become successful in any given field, and the same goes for network marketing. Once you learn skills and there is no luck, in your performance will greatly improve, which will in turn greatly improve how much you make. Become a professional. Now, there's three types of networkers: posers, amateurs, and professionals. Let's talk about the posers. And you decide for yourself. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to type it in the chat box and be embarrassed. I used to be each of these. I used to be a poser. Here's what posers do when they join network marketing. They treat this profession as a lottery ticket. They're hoping to hit it big with as little effort as possible. You see an advertisement talking about it's easy, no work involved, do all automated system, all done for you. They're lying. Because the person that's going to make all the money is the one who created that system for all of you. If you're going in, you're not willing to put in the work, you're not going to make any money. You are a poser. However, some posers actually do get lucky, and they get that big break and make quick money, but it never lasts. And they never learn skills on what to do if they lose it. See, the universe works in a mysterious way. It's not so mysterious anymore. Action, reaction, law of attraction. Because when you get lucky, the universe will balance it out, lose it. Just like those people who win the lottery. Eventually, they lose it. Just like all the basketball and football players who go broke 5 years after retirement. They never learned the proper skills necessary to maintain it and keep it. And the universe will always balance you out to where you're supposed to be. Here's a hard fact, and it's going to be a punch in the gut for some of you. I'm not a hype guy. I'm not a cheerleader. That's not my job to put fantasy in your head. I'm going to give you reality. My son hates it when I do this because I do it to him. And he tells me, Daddy, I'm only learning now. Give you reality. Wherever you are right now is where exactly you're supposed to be. Here's the good news. Broke is temporary. Poor is eternal. So if you're broke, that's a situation that you can change. If you're in a situation that you don't like, that's a situation you can change. But that's where you belong at this moment. And sometimes if you have that good luck and you got pushed right back to being broke again, because that's you never grew. All right, I got to go off track another one. I made another video a couple months back, well, maybe a year ago. I was in my kitchen and I had two glasses, a small glass and a big glass, and a big pitcher of water. And I poured water into the little glass and it filled up. And you know in church they say, your cup runneth over. Well, once your cup fills up with water, you can't add more water to it. That vessel can only hold so much. So even if more water is poured on that vessel, what happens to the rest and the excess of the water? It spills out. You lose it. You can't hold on to it. But what if you want more water? Then you got to get a bigger cup. A cup that can hold more water. This is you. You are a vessel. What you have right now is already filled up. You can't put more into it. The only way you can get more is if you increase your vessel, meaning increase you, increase your mindset, increase your knowledge, increase your earning capacity, increase your bank account. You can't put $1,000,000 in a $5,000 bank account. I hope this makes sense. It took me 10 years to figure this out. And I was like a car in quicksand. I learned how to master presentations, three-way calls, product, the company, the history, wanted to be the best speaker out there. I mastered all of that and was not getting the results because I never grew personally. And once you start to grow personally, you don't recruit anymore. You attract. That you said to me yesterday in a text, Rob. I just realized that I wasn't recruited. I didn't recruit you. You recruited me. But I have to put myself in a position for somebody like you to find. That's what's called being a professional is all about. Posers don't get this. See, posers last 30 to 60 days before they quit. And when they quit, do they blame themselves? No, it's never their fault. They blame either the company, the compensation plan, upline, or downline for their failure. It's somebody else's fault. My sponsor didn't help me. My downline didn't do anything. Isn't that how it is? Never their fault. I had a guy 2 years ago contact me and say, Brandon, I gotta let you know that I'm quitting the business. It doesn't work. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, I wouldn't be here. It doesn't work. I haven't made any money. I've been here a couple of months. I'm spending more money than I'm making. I said, let me ask you a question. How many presentations have you been to since you've been here? One, the very first one. I said, okay. How many people have you signed up in the business? One. How many guests have you ever brought to a presentation? One, the very first one. How many trainings have you been to? None. Huh. So you say the business doesn't work when you actually never worked the business. No, no, no. I talked to some people and they said no. Really? I have nothing else to say to you. You're just not there. Go back to a job. Your mindset's not there. It's a waste of time. Here's one thing I never do. I never convince. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. Whatever decision you make is the correct one for you. I agree with you. It's not for you. It doesn't work for you. Go back to doing what you were doing. And so posers only last 30 to 60 days. Posers also would rather join another company that is promising an easier or faster way to riches. So instead of working harder and learning skills, they jump ship. These are what I like to call the MLM hoppers. You know, you go to somebody's Facebook page, and anytime somebody tells you about a business, here's the first thing you do. Go look at their Facebook page and scroll through their history, like a couple of months. See what they were promoting last month, 4 months before that, 6 months before that. You'll notice a pattern here. They're hoppers. They're MLM junkies. They play musical chairs. They're posers. They always think the grass is greener somewhere else. The grass will always be green where you water it. There's no such thing as the greatest company or the worst company, because if you show me the so-called greatest company, I'll show you somebody that's broke. If you show me the so-called worst company, I'll show you somebody that's making six figures. Now, of course, there are sometimes things outside of your control. The CEO or management making decisions that you have no control over. That's one thing. But just to jump ship, just because you're not having success and there's other people that are having success, there's something wrong. That's just how it is. Posers don't understand that. They think the grass is greener somewhere else. I had a so-called leader on my team. when faced with one challenge, jumped ship to another company, attempted to recruit everybody in my organization, and even told them the grass, Brandon always says the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence. He said, but the grass is greener over here and it has a lake. And you know what happened? Less than a year later, that company goes out of business. And that person's been in like 4 deals since then. Be careful about that. Here's an amateur. Amateurs are a little bit better than posers. See, amateurs also focus getting lucky. They hear of stories of people who had their entire life changed with that one sign up. They spend all their time focusing on that one big hit. Success is not about getting the big hit. Success is about doing the little things over and over and over again on a consistent level, even as boring as it can be, and letting it add up. It's all about the little successes adding up that turn into a big success. See, most people, when they see a superstar or somebody that's had success, they only see the end result. They don't see the day-to-day stuff that got that person to that point, that all the little things that added up to one big. They just want the big thing. And then when told what work is required, oh no, I can't do that. I even think about it now, when I struggled for 10 years, when the Bible says you got to have faith beyond reasoning, and I was struggling, and I had no idea what the future was going to end up. I had my goals. One of my goals was to be a millionaire before I turned 35. That didn't happen. I walked off my job at 36. Huh. I might not have become a millionaire, but I have more freedom than 90% of people out there. I wake up when I'm finished sleeping. I come and go as I please. If I go on a vacation or I go on a trip, I can stay as long as I want because it doesn't change my income. See, most people who work a 9-to-5 job are still slaves. They just don't know it. What do you mean I'm not a slave? I'm free, really? The only time you're free is at 5 p.m. on Friday to 8 a.m. Monday morning. You can go wherever you want during that time in the weekend. And the government doesn't care to even attempt to track you because they know exactly where you're going to be at 8 a.m. on Monday morning. So wherever you go, you better be back in 2 days. And that's what you're going to be doing for 40 years. Well, I don't have a job. I lost my job, so I'm free. Really, you don't have resources to go anywhere in the first place. Government's not worried about you. True freedom is when you have money and time at the same time. If I decided to go to a different country for 30 days, my income continues to come in. This is a concept that my dad really didn't. I had to talk with my dad the other day about this, about maybe moving out of California and just talking about different places. And we've had this talk before, and he always tells me, yeah, in California is very high. Taxes and business taxes is just sick. Businesses are flinging this state like nothing. And he said, yeah, but you go to a state where it's less to live, quality of life, the maybe cheaper, but so are the wages. I'm like, Dad, I don't have a wage. I have profits. Oh yeah, that's right. My income stays the same no matter where I go. It only goes up. And he scratches. He's like, yeah, that's right. Profits are better than wages. Remember that statement. Wages keep you a slave. Profits is freedom. I'm getting off track. Let's get back on here. Second thing amateurs do is focus on timing. Did I get in early enough? How many other leaders are in my market? Did I miss the growth curve? Is the market saturated? The fact that Amway is still here 50 years later, creating millionaires and doing $10 billion a year is testimony that the market will never, ever, ever be saturated. Never. There's too many people out there. I might have this number wrong, but I think it was like 100,000 a month join network marketing. 100,000 a month. Most network marketing companies never even get to 100,000 reps in their company. The market will never get saturated. Only thing that's saturated about network marketing is those of you who continue to go after other network marketing leaders who are playing musical chairs. Oh yeah, that market's saturated. New blood is never saturated. First thing amateurs focus on is positioning. Am I in the right organization? Are others better positioned than me? I have a good upline. Will I do better in another team? I used to think this not too long ago, 10, 11 years ago. I got to be on the right team that's going to have me the right training. I got to make sure I'm positioned right. I got to make sure I have a good upline to help me out in my team. Let me see if another team can do better than me. See, once I became a professional, none of that mattered because I started to look at myself as the CEO, as the upline. In fact, my upline has always gotten in my way. I'm like, thank you for signing me up. Now move out of my way and let me go to work. I create spillover for my organization. I don't expect it. From me down, I'm the CEO. That's how the mindset you need to have. It's not your sponsor's responsibility to ensure your success. Your sponsor did their job by you enrolling. Now you become the CEO and handle your business. That's what a professional does. The fourth thing amateurs focus on is shortcuts. The internet tools can do all the work for me. And every time a new shiny approach to business is advertised, amateurs are all over it and easily distracted. See, the internet tools is just that. It's a tool to help you build your business. It is not the savior. It's just a tool. Because this is a people business. So even if you use the tool to reach other people, you still need to work with them. You still need to contact them. You still need to find out their story, find out what they desire in life, find out what their passion is. Be an inspiration for them. Be there to answer questions if they have any. You still have to deal with people. There are and is no such thing as a shortcut. None. It doesn't exist in this business, in homemade business. Talk about being a professional. A professional is a person who is an expert at the skills required to build a large and successful network marketing or professional starts focusing on the skills and made a commitment to practice, practice, practice until the skill is mastered. A professional does not focus on luck, timing, positioning, and shortcuts. Professional athletes will devote endless hours to preparing for competition. Think about like if you guys remember in the 90s how Mike Tyson was dominating and his matches were lasting only one round in less than 2 minutes. Yet he spends 6, 7 months preparing for 2 minutes. Think about those who run the 100-meter dash in the Olympics. They prepare for a year, if not years, for 10 seconds. Years for 10 seconds. Doctors will devote a decade of their lives at expense to become physicians. But when they join a network marketing company, they won't even give a month's study and practice becoming a network marketing pro. I study this industry. I read books constantly. I make it a point to introduce myself and meet other professionals, other companies, because they all have the same things in common. And I find it a joy when I listen to their stories because it's the same across the board. Success leaves clues. And the higher up you go, you're able to narrow down certain things that successful people do. You know, if you talk to somebody that makes $5,000 a month, you learn what they do. You talk to somebody that makes $20,000 a month, you find out a little bit more. It narrows it down a bit. Talk to somebody that makes 6 figures a month. Talk to somebody that makes 7 figures. It gets narrowed down smaller and smaller and smaller to a certain few key things. There's a whole lot of things that they do, but there's a couple of key things that's undeniable They take risks. They're not afraid of risk. They read. They have an insatiable work ethic. They never look at cost first. They always look at reward first and then worry about how much it's going to cost later. Just certain things that they do consistently across the board, every single one of them. When I was in Dallas, I met a woman who made $60 million in the industry. The topic of GoPro was about, telling stories. She doesn't even talk about the compensation plan in her business. Never. Not in her presentations, not in her one-on-ones. She doesn't talk compensation plan until after lined up. So you ask her what her secret is. She says, "I just tell my story. I find out what their why is. I let them know that I have a solution for them, and here's my lifestyle." That's it. And she says they can't wait to pull out their credit card and sign up, whatever it is that she's doing, because they're not joining her business. They're joining her. You understand the difference? People sign up with people, not companies. Understand that. People sign up with people, not companies. And we're going to end tonight by talking about this last part. Again, knowing your why. Because this is so important. When we went to Dallas as well, and you heard this 2 weeks ago, when we talked about share your story, and it was still amazing to me. See, sharing my story is something I mastered years ago. So much so that I don't even think about it. It's like rolls like water off the back of your hand. But many people don't even know their story because they don't even know their why. They're just floating through life, reacting to whatever happens to them instead of creating their own universe, just reacting. Why are you doing what you're doing? Have you ever, here's a test. Go to somebody you know that works a job and ask them this question. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Ask them, why do you go to work every Monday morning? What? You don't like the job? Why do you go to work? What do you mean, why do I go to work? To get paid so I can pay my bills. Why? Is that your existence, to work and pay bills? Why are you doing all that? What's your end goal? Your end game? What's the ultimate thing you want to accomplish? And watch the look on their face. Because they never thought of this. Or they haven't in 20 or 30 years. See, the last time we dream, we go into dream mode, is as children. Children dream all day long. There was a study that came that the average adult laughs 15 to 20 times a day. A child laughs 400 to 500 times a day. A child is always in dream mode. But something called reality hits us and we get that nonsense out of our head, right? The only time we go back into dream mode is when we hear on the radio or we go to work and somebody says the lotto hit is up to 250 million. Do you want to go $5 in on the company pool? Then you get back in dream mode because then you guys start talking, man, if I won the lottery, this is what I'd do. This is what I'd buy. You're driving home from work, and on your drive home, that's all you're thinking about. Man, I would quit my job. I would. Next thing you know, you pull up into your driveway and you don't even know how you got there because you've been so much in thought about what do you do if you won the lottery. It was automatic. A scary statistics shows that 38% of Americans feel that the fastest way for them to get a couple $1,000s is to win the lottery. 38 Americans believe that. That's sad. Or to go to a quick trip to Vegas. Because they don't know of any other way. They haven't been taught any other way. They don't even know a home-based business is possible, let alone achievable. They think it's too expensive. So let's go back to your why. What is your why? Is it to spend more time with family? College education for your children? to get a new home, to become debt free, take a family vacation, give more to your church, retirement, buy toys. Is that your why? You may think it is, but it's not. The biggest part of that may be time with your family, but it's not. That's not your why. Somebody said, your why is something that can make you cry. That's why. Excuse my language, but that's bullshit. That doesn't work. You want to know why? Because everybody cries about something. Is that changing your life because you cried, you shed some tears? The brokest people are always crying. The people that have the hardest hardships in life cry all day long. Is that changing their situation? No. Is that motivating them for more? See, understand that crying is an emotional release. It makes you feel better. You're getting it out. You're not having it pent up that can make you sick. It's an emotional release. Men, you may not admit it because we don't cry or we don't let out that we cry. We feel better after we do, just like everybody else. This allows us to. I did. I'll share this. I cried last week. I lost my aunt to cancer a year ago. That was unexpected. That was my wife's aunt 3 years ago. I lost my aunt last year to she had a blood clot that took her out quickly. She fell in December down the steps, hurt her leg, didn't think nothing of it, so didn't go to the hospital for 2 weeks. Finally goes, they give her treatment, know how bad it was. One of the bone fragments was so small it got into her vessel and clogged it up. I was in the room when she passed away, and I'll never forget what I was looking at and how it went down. With my father there, my cousin was there, and at the time, I was more concerned about my father because it was his baby sister and my grandmother who didn't make it in time because we were in Rivers at Moreno Valley, and my grandmother was in Carson, California, and that's about an hour and almost a 2 hour drive. So she was on the way to the hospital. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and she didn't make it there in time before she passed away. That was her baby. So I was concerned about them, and it never really hit me. Not even at the funeral. Because at the funeral, I was more concerned about my dad, his sister, my grandmother. They had to call the ambulance at the funeral for my grandmother. She couldn't breathe. So I was in, taking care of, patriarch type mode, taking care of the family. But just sitting here and talking to my wife, she was talking about her aunt that passed away. It's like a flood that hit me about my own aunt. And I have a picture of her up in my house, and I looked at the picture, and it's like just memories flashed back. I remember she was the one who really, when I was a senior in college, going to my senior year that summer, she said to me, you better enjoy the summer vacation because it's the last one. I was like, what are you talking about, Dee Dee? Said because you're going to be getting a job. There's only 2 week vacation after that, buddy. You'll be working through the summertime. What? It didn't hit me like that. I just thought about how much money I can make. Wait a minute, I'm going to be working through the summer? What? Didn't hit me. She was the one that told me that. But a flood of memories flooded back. And I just broke down. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't hide it. It just happened. But I felt better afterwards. There was a release that was needed. However, crying does not change your circumstances. So I'm going to teach you how. Here's an assignment that I want you to do before you go to sleep tonight. Before you go to sleep tonight, I want you to think about what you would do If money were no longer an object in your life? Well, what do you mean, an obstacle? You had all the money in the world. And once you got that money, I don't care how you got it, but you got the money. You bought all the houses you wanted. You quit your job. You retired your mom and dad. You bought grandma a house. You helped your nephews and nieces get through college. You take all the vacations you want. You go on a shopping spree in Paris, New York, and Beverly Hills. You spend months on the Caribbean islands like Puerto Rico, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, just because you can. You come back when you feel like it. You bought all of your toys. 1 year later goes by. You wake up on a Monday morning at 11 because you just finished sleeping. And you realize that you have more money in the bank now than you did before you went on your shopping spree, and you don't have a job to go through and you to buy. What do you do with your time? What are you going to do with your life? See, this is where the real challenge comes. This is where a lot of wealthy people fail and why they have so many problems. What are you going to do with your life? There are absolutely zero distractions at this point. No bills, no creditors, no worry about family. Everything is taken care of. You can do whatever in the world you want. What would you do with your life? What God given talents do you have that you can now focus on? Are you a musician, an artist, a writer? You want to help out more in your church. You want to travel the world and help the poor. Whatever it is that soul. Some of you understand what I mean when I say that. It makes you happy thinking about that you'd enjoy doing for free. What would you do? What talents could the world see? Figure that out. And then I want you to go to sleep. And I want you to act as if it is already a done deal. Act as if when you wake up in the morning, that's exactly what you're going to be doing, whatever it is you want to do. The reason why I say this assignment before you go to sleep is because when you go to sleep, your brain doesn't sleep. Your subconscious is still awake. And your brain only knows what you tell it. You're tricking your brain here. And for the next 6 to 8 hours, or if you're like me, 3 to 4 hours, your brain is only going to focus on whatever it was, those thoughts you had, how you feel. So your brain doesn't know what you tell it, it knows how you feel. That's why I skipped a step. Before you go to sleep, think to yourself, how does it make you feel to have all of those desires? How does it make you feel? Because the feeling is the most important. The brain doesn't understand more money. It only understands the feeling more money can bring to you. The brain doesn't understand the word love. It only understands the feeling you have when you're next to the person. The brain reacts to that. The brain doesn't understand the word hardship or broke. It only understands the feeling you have when certain circumstances happen to make you feel that way. That's why most people remain broke. Okay, I'm going to tell you one more analogy here. We all know of a woman who has been in a bad relationship, and someone corrected me on this because we all know men as well. I just like using women as an analogy. So I am not being gender discriminate. In this day and age, you got to watch out for that. But we all know of a woman who's been in a bad relationship. And it seems every relationship she's in always ends the same way. In fact, it seems the guy she ends up with always is the same type of guy. And friends say, you know what, maybe you need to go see some therapy. So she goes and sees a therapist, and the therapist says to her, you're having relationship issues. So let me ask you a question. What is it in a man? She says, oh, that's easy. I don't want a man who doesn't have a job. I don't want a man who, even if he has a job, stays out late, goes drinking with the buddies, comes home and doesn't care how I feel, treats me bad, disrespects me in front of my kids, is physically and verbally abusive, makes me cry, and she stops about that and starts to get a little emotional just thinking about it. I don't want a man like that. And who does? Who would want a man like that? And the therapist says, you didn't answer my question. I said, come again? What do you mean? I asked, what do you want in a man? And you told me what you don't want in a man. So how does that make you feel right now? She said, I feel bad. She says, because all you did was tell me what you don't want. You're focusing on the bad things. Try telling me what you want in a man. Well, I want a man who could provide for his family. I want a man who's confident. I want a man who's secure. I want a man who loves me and adores me. I want a man who treats me well, treats my kids well. I want a man who respects me. I want a man who loves to spend time with me. And then pause. How does that make you feel? I feel good. I feel great. I feel like I have hope. Change your thinking, because if you think about what you want, then chances are that's what you're going to get. And that's how life is. Whatever you think about the most is what you get. And somebody challenged me on this. Said, well, I think about money all the time. I'm not getting more money. I said, no, 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 no. You're thinking about money, but what's your emotion attached to that money? Anger, fear. Why? Because your thoughts about money is bills, lack of. It hurts. I'm broke. I can't pay my rent. My light bill's due. My phone bill's due. So every time you think about money, you have a negative feeling attached to it. So when your brain hears the word money, it feels negativity. So what does the brain do? Make sure that you attract more things in your life so that you can continue feeling the exact same way you feel right now. This is why Tony Robbins is so popular, because Tony Robbins changed your physiology, change your mindset and your body and how you feel, how you react to things. Because by changing your physiology, your brain reacts to that, and your brain's going to give you what you want. So you're going to start to attract the things that keep you feeling the way you are right now. I hope you understand that's probably one of the most important lessons you can ever learn in personal development. Everything is temporary, good and bad. But you can have more good than bad depending on how you feel about things and what you focus on. Most people are always feeling bad about themselves. That's why they always keep getting what they want. Broke people think about money far more than have money. So they're not thinking about money anymore. You know what they think about? Lifestyle. What do I want to do next week? What do I want to be? How do I want to live? They don't look at price when they go into a store. They don't look at the price of a menu when they go into a restaurant. They get what they want. People are always looking at price and thinking about money. That's something else broke people will never understand. They think the rich are greedy. No, they're greedy. All you do is thinking about money. You're not thinking about lifestyle. So, how does it make you feel to have all the resources in the world? And understand money is nothing but a resource. It's energy, the resource. How does it make you feel? Go to sleep feeling that way. Go to sleep for once. Go to sleep like you're a queen. Act as if, not fake it till you make it. Act as if. Give your brain that feeling. I guarantee when you wake up in the morning, you're going to feel a little better. It's not going to last long because you're so used to going to sleep worried. So it's not going to last long. You're just doing this for the first time. You have the neurons in your brain is so thick about negativity that anything positive, it's going to take a while to overcome it. So this is a step that you have to practice. Force yourself to do it again in the morning. Wake up in the morning thinking to yourself that you're a millionaire. What would you do with your life if money was no longer an object or an issue? More importantly, how does it make you feel? Start off your day feeling like that. And then in the middle of the day, see when you have those thoughts in the middle of the day again, you're feeling bad if something bad happens to you, then again, think about, what if I was wealthy right now? How does it make me feel? To combat those negatives. And eventually you'll start to have more positive thoughts than negative thoughts. It'll take time. Some of you, it may happen sooner. Some of you, it may take years. But this is something that you have to overcome, because if you don't, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what company you're with. It doesn't matter who your sponsor is. You're only going to go so far because your cup is only so big. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to end this webinar by playing a video. And this video is a short 2-minute video for entrepreneurs. I watch this video twice a day at least. I know when I wake up in the morning and sometime in the afternoon or in the evening, I watch this video because I go through this stuff. You have no idea the things I deal with, things I go through, even in business. And when you deal with so many people, you hear everything. There are times where I have thoughts of quitting in my head, of giving up, of saying, is this even worth it? But I keep pushing forward. Because what's the alternative? My ego also won't allow me to quit. My ego won't allow me to say I failed at something. I'm going to keep going until I succeed. So we're going to end by playing this video. Thank you. Next Saturday will be part 2 of this training. It'll be more about mindset. Tonight was about how to be a professional. And next week, we're going to talk about focusing on the goal and not the task. But my new model this year is focus on the goal, but learn the task. I haven't made a video on that one yet. I need to do that. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. This was recorded for those of you who could not make it on. Tomorrow is the beginning of a new month, and we are almost halfway through 2016. So for those of you who made New Year's resolutions and you're looking back and says you're still not any better right now than you were in December, you still have time to change and make 2016 the best year yet. How about that? God bless. Good night. Here's the video.
Most people only pay attention to the final product of a successful entrepreneur. They say things like, I can never be like them, or they got lucky. What most don't see is what they've overcome. All the struggles, the daily rejections, the heartaches, the betrayals, the rumors, the criticism, the empty bank account, and all those lonely nights while trying to make their vision a reality. You see, the only difference between the one who quits and the one who doesn't is that they showed up every day. They worked hard every day. They hustled every day. They learned from a proven mentor every day. They improved every day. They did all this even though they felt like quitting every day. And eventually, they became who they are today.